All right, so we've done this. We've did a few climbs and descents in basic attitude instrument flying, and you're doing a good job of it, by the way. So now let's go ahead and finish the lesson up a little bit on some tracking, some navigational tracking that will now incorporate your scan that you're having to, really work on in terms of altimetry and headings. But now it's going to change from altimeter obligations here and then tracking of a needle rather than a heading. You follow me? So we're
Yeah.
just trying to transfer our scan interpretation and piloting skills from one, navigational objective to the next one here, which would be tracking something, you see,
Yeah.
because your mind and your scan has to change a little bit because now you're changing your scan from more predominantly to this and less predominantly to this. Still using that as a secondary
Oh, right, right. Yeah.
idea, but the primary emphasis here for navigation will be emphasis on the D bar, we call it. Okay.
Okay.
So just a terminology thing right here, okay? First of all, the entire thing here view is the HSI, correct?
Right,
The
right.
horizontal situation indicator.
Yep.
The green portion here, of course, is VOR nav 1 in this particular case. The entire green mechanism is the CDI, and this section of it here is called the D bar. Okay. The D comes from the fact that the entire unit is called a CDI, a course deviation
Deviation.
indicator. So I just speak the language, and I've got to make sure I'm not
Okay.
speaking a foreign language to you here. Okay.
D
So when I
bar.
say D bar, what's your D bar? I'm talking about this sliver of the
Yep.
entire CDI indicator.
Okay.
Okay. So first things first here, let's go ahead and let's figure out what radial we currently are on relative to the Rosewood VOR that we've got set in there. Okay. So to
So
do
we
that,
are on.
you're going to need to change your course deviation indicator so that the pointy end and the two are on the same side, which they currently are, and the D bar is centered. And when you do that, if we read the tail of it, that will be the radial you currently are on. That's there's many ways of doing this, but that's the more prevalent way
So the
of
tail, this tail,
let, yeah,
an
go.
arrow points
Yeah,
here.
this is the
That's
tail. This is the head of the
right,
CDI indicator. Okay. And
right.
this little triangle here is the to from triangle.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah.
all right. So what I'm getting at is you're going to need to go up and take your mouse and change this course knob. That would be the triangular knob inside the barrow knob up here.
All right.
Okay.
So I gotta take it
So
off pause, right?
yeah, it probably won't move until again, I can't, sometimes it works in pause, sometimes it doesn't. So, okay. And then go ahead and fly your attitude indicator while you're doing it. So this is good training. You got to keep your eye peeled on this so that you stay on the heading of 090 and you stay on your altitude of 2,500 feet while you're articulating something else.
Right.
This is workload management, IFR,
Yep.
and simulators are great for that because you
Okay.
got to be on your game to hold everything intact. So while you're holding your heading and altitude, you're going to reach over and you're going to grab your course knob and you're going to rotate it so that, again, the 2 stays on the same side as the head of the CDI and the D bar centers itself.
How do we?
You'll just have to move it. It's a little bit experimental until the D bar starts to slide over. And if it doesn't work that way, you
Oh,
move it
I
back the
see.
other way.
I
There it
okay.
goes. Okay,
Like
now, and then,
OBS.
yeah, right there, stop. Okay, so go ahead and pause for a second. How much do you know about what I'm talking about with regard to, HSI, VOR in general, and so on?
So I
Uh,
remember the VOR stuff with it changing the OBS needle, like you're talking about, but now I've been doing mostly navigation with what is it called? Not the navigation mode,
you
following
mean
the needle.
GPS?
The GPS,
Yeah,
the
okay.
GPS,
All
right?
right. which is an integral part of what we do as well. But I'm just going to go ahead and give a quick little insight
Yeah,
here on what
go
this
ahead.
is telling me. Okay, because
Yep,
again, it's the ability to understand it, read it,
right.
and know what it's saying.
Intercept
So
here.
the way that you just set this, the way I showed you to set it, says the following to you. If I were to extend in line, a line out this direction, so you're heading east right here, right now, right?
Correct.
So this direction would be about southwestish in general, right?
Correct.
So somewhere out to the southwest is a VOR out here, okay?
Correct.
And so that VOR, if you turn to the right and headed that out to the southwest, you would head towards that VOR. Okay, we don't want to do that right now, but it's off your back right side right now. So from a situational awareness standpoint, you understand what I'm getting at?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
behind you and to your right.
Am I right? Yep.
How do I know that? Because the way this arrow here is pointing, and it's a 2 reading on the same side of it, it's that direction. So therefore, the radial that you're currently on is as the tail. You would read the tail of the needle. So if an examiner says, "What radial are you
What
currently
radius?
on relative to the Rosewood VOR?" You would say, "I'm on the 041 degree radial." They would pat you on the back because that's
Okay.
absolutely correct.
Okay.
You see how I did that?
Yep. Yep.
And so, basically, if I wanted to turn around and track inbound to the VOR, we would either turn right or left. Right would be a better way because it'd be less turning involved. And we would establish ourselves and track inbound on the 41 degree radial.
Okay.
So, there's a lot going on in what I'm saying here with regard to understanding of a VOR and, and the IFR world, tracking inbound and outbound on specified radials is the name of the game.
Yep.
So once I identified the radial, I could then be assigned to track inbound or outbound. We're going to track outbound on it, okay?
Okay.
So, basically we're just going to turn left here, okay? And we're going to get the airplane flying on about 41 degrees, and we're just going to keep the D bar centered. If the D bar goes to the right, you fly to the right and bring it back to center. If the D
Okay.
bar goes to the left, you fly to the left a little bit and bring it back to center. That's the goal, okay?
Okay.
And I'll talk about resetting the CDI later, okay? But I just want you to go ahead and say, ATC says to maintain 2,500 and track the 41 degree radial outbound from the Rosewood VOR. We're going to do that.
Ma maintain 2,500 and track the outbound,
The 41
the
degree
41
radial
degree radial outbound
from the Rosewood
from the
VOR.
Rosewood VOR.
There you go. Let's try
Okay.
it. Okay.
All right.
So
Here we go.
just standard rate turn. That's it. And now, now see you're having to concentrate on the normal factors of the basic attitude instrument flying for sure. So you're looking at your altimetry, then you're looking down at your HSI, and now you're working on, putting into your scan the D bar.
Yep.
And you're being trained that if the D bar goes left, we'll fly to the left ever so slightly. Just a little bit of deviation just means a little bit of intercept angle or, a little bit of bank in that direction. So, you have to kind of learn to read the needle or the D bar here. All right, so that you don't kind of get, you start putting too much intercept angle in it,
Chasing
that
the needle.
you'll start chasing the needle is the terminology. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so, as we progress on, then you'll also learn about winds. If we had a very strong wind off of our left side over here, and we were going to fly this radial for a period of time, we would look up here and see what our heading is when the D-bar was centered and come up with kind of a wind correction angle conjecture here so that we could convince ourselves that, hey, we need to fly about 35-degree heading so the D-bar stays centered to make good the 41-degree radial. That's the
Right,
next level of understanding, how to, fly wind correction angles and deal with wind drift and things like that, which again, the simulator is great for because we can set in any weather conditions to
right, right.
practice that we want,
Hmm.
and work hard at it. So that's great.
Okay.
Okay, now just go ahead and come back to the right just a little bit here because that's a little too much intercept angle, and I can already see the D-bar starting to try a slide to the right. You see what I'm getting at? Not much, but it's deflecting to the right a little bit, and that was because we left a little too much left angle in there, and we kind of flew through our radial. Not much, but
Okay.
enough to be detected, especially with my eyes because I've watched these things so much. Okay, good. Now, all right, pause for just a second. All right, let me make a statement here. First of all, this HSI that you're looking at right here does not have the idea behind reverse sensing. I'm not going to get into
Right,
the
right,
talk about that,
right. I
but
understand.
the point that I'm trying to make here is, did you notice that I didn't ask you to turn the pointy end of the needle around to this side to track outbound on the
Right,
41?
right.
Because I knew I really didn't have to,
Okay.
because I know that this thing does not have reverse sensing issues, you see. But
Yeah.
technically speaking, most people still want to turn it around so that it makes more sense to them. You follow me?
Right, right.
So
Yeah.
basically what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead so that you understand this mechanism to the next level of understanding.
Hmm.
Go ahead and rotate your course knob all the way around so the pointy end of it is to 41. So in other words, set this course box over here. This course box only reads what the pointy end of the CDI is pointing to on your compass rose. You follow me?
Yes.
So you rotate that around to 41. There you go. And what we're expecting here when we set it for 41 is for the to from needle to flip to a from. And that makes all the sense in the world because we're tracking outbound on the 41 degrees and we're heading away from the VOR. All right. And when you get closer to 4, there's the D bar. See, the D bar will still be centered
41.
the same as we had it set before. You follow me? Now
Yep.
we're off course a little
Now
bit,
we're off
so
course, right?
that's okay because
Okay.
we were just kind of talking and messing around here. So unpause it, and now you've got a different setting in there, but again, flying it with either setting, either outbound or inbound, if you know what you're doing, makes no difference in reality, okay? Because the HSI does, in this particular case, does not have a reverse sensing gremlin in it, okay?
That's nice.
But again, you still want to learn what I'm getting at here is learn
Yeah.
to set it so your HSI setting makes sense to you. And this setting to most students makes more sense than the other setting that I was showing you initially, you see?
Right, right,
Because that you were told to track outbound on the 41-degree radial. You
right,
see, so the pointy end is pointing to 41, and tracking outbound on the 41 would mean that I'm expecting to have a from reading, you see, and that technically makes sense from the idea of a VOR system.
right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We doing okay?
I'm trying to go here.
Yeah,
Okay.
you should be flying a heading of 41 degrees. We're way to the northwest here.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to center a needle here.
Yeah, but again, you would never
I'm
want a
way off.
90-degree cut into it because that D bar will be
So I
over
need
here
to
before you.
go. I need
Yeah.
to.
So what you
Okay.
got to work on is learning in your training. When you set this and the D bar gets deflected ever so slightly, small bracketed is the name of it. Small bracketed correction angles. Okay. Yes, if the D
Yeah.
bar is way over here, then yes, you need a little bit more intercept angle, but you've got to learn to contain those intercept angles because if you don't and you get rambunctious with them and make
Yes.
large intercept angles, you're going to fly like a snake, because the D bar is going to fly, you're going to fly back through the radial
Yep.
too adversely, and then you'll have to fly back over it. So that this is where, again, working on the simulator will help you learn to read
Yeah.
and react
Right.
to the D-bar deviations in a more methodical way. So as I
Okay.
was kind of talking earlier, you see the little bit of D-bar deviation to the right? That
Yeah.
only that only takes a little bit of right correction off of 041, right? Because 041 is kind of what we want to be doing.
Yeah.
So I would move the airplane heading over to about 044,
Right.
maybe
Okay.
045, and work my way in. There's caveats to what I'm saying. So,
No, I understand.
if I got real analytical here, I could start throwing stones at what I'm saying because I could throw wind in here. I could
Yeah.
throw how far out you are from the VOR in here, and
Yeah.
that affects how much deviation occurs and how much angle correction you need to make. But
Uh-huh.
that's another chapter in the book going forward. For now, though, learn to kind of watch, include into your scan among the many other things you're doing, a cautious watch of the D bar and its motions, and learn to react sooner than you might would. You're saying, okay, there's a little bit of a small right deviation, so I'm gonna go over here to about 45 degrees and hold it at 45. And if it doesn't start to move fluidly to the left, I'll throw another few degrees in there. You see,
Okay.
and you just
Yep.
kind of work it. That's what's known better as a bracketing technique, a little small
Okay.
bracket that you're working within, containing it. So a great exercise to work on in your simulator.
Okay.
Plus learning to set it like I've been showing you, to get, to find a radial and track inbound on it and outbound on it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And that kind of leads to what I would do after I teach you a little bit about setting your VOR up and tracking it inbound and outbound a little bit. That
Okay.
then leads me to a pattern exercise that I told you about earlier on.
All right.
In lieu of a pattern A or a pattern B technique, I
Yep.
use what is known as the flower diagram. Okay, what I'm going to do at the end of this lesson is I'm going
Okay.
to send you a picture of this little flower diagram and send you a link to a YouTube that shows how it typically is used by flight instructors. Now, again, I use it to a larger extent than the little short clip, but the little short clip that you watch will make all the sense in the world on what that
Okay.
little diagram really means. It's a training device, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a note here and I'm going to send you a couple of the resources at the end of the lesson for you to have a look at, okay?
Okay.